get the, let's call it the non-QE QE? Do we not get the dovish take from Powell? And yet, despite all the bullishness and the dovishness, look at the market. Manipulation much? Manipulation much? So we'll talk about the FOMC meeting in detail, what we think it means for the near term, mid-term, and long term of digital assets and your investments. We got some other great stories to cover as well. I saw some news circulating about the executive order around getting Americans to invest into crypto through their 401k. That's huge news. Huge news. And I'm sure there's some other stories we'll cover here as well. But I don't know, Nick, if you got a chance to watch the speech from Powell or some commentary, what are your thoughts around the rate cut, the meeting, and then, of course, the market reaction to everything?
Well, I mean, we got the rate cut that we said was going to happen. We were very early on that one. There was only like a 48% chance that, in fact, happened. And then he was kind of, I guess, neutral. He definitely wasn't hawkish this time around. He was pretty dovish. Things went up. We saw green candles. We saw follow through. But what has people hesitating, and we'll show it here on Polymarket, is that now people are leaning towards January 27th will be a no change. Now, why do I really not care what these people think? Remember, before this interest rate cut that we just had, there was like a 53% chance of a no change, 48% chance of a cut. Well, in fact, we actually had a cut, and we had people whispering that we were going to get a 50 basis point cut. So for January 27th, this has been a big flip-flop. Remember, just on the last live show, I think there was about something like a 62% chance of a cut, and whatever the rest was a no change. And now it's flipped like this after he talked, because Powell, if you listen to him, he said, well, we think we're neutral, and, some people think there should be no change. Some people think we should have a 0.25 cut, and some people think we should have a bigger cut. Well, I read between the lines in a different way. Number one, I think there's still going to be more cuts unless inflation just runs away over the holiday season. That's just because we've been right on that, and I think that continues. And I think we see cut after cut after cut, and then Fed replacement in May, and then we see more cuts. And we get the biggest max inflow of QE and interest rate cuts for the American citizen. But he said that people have gone to no change, small cut, big cut. Before, there was two people that actually wanted to raise rates. Those two people that wanted to raise rates now switched to no change. So I think we're actually trending in the other direction, and more people are coming to the light that we actually do need cuts. And that's why, I don't know about you, Crypto Armory, but I would bet 25 basis point cut is happening January 27th. If I was a betting man, now is the time to do it. Because remember, this was just 62% 2 days ago. Now it's down to 17.
Yeah, what I want to do tomorrow on the live stream is put $100 on the 25 basis point. Why not? Just for fun, do it on a live stream, there'll be some good content. Because I absolutely think you're right. The reason why the market flip-flopped on this is because Powell said a few things at the conference, which sort of made people question the potential for the January cut. And the main comment he made around that was he already believes they are at neutral. But he said they were at the high end of neutral rates, and they've said for a while they want to get back to neutral. Okay, we're already back at neutral, but now we're at the high end of neutral, in his opinion, but it's going to be data dependent, and we have more readings coming out around inflation and labor market between now and then. And so, yeah, I agree. We're going to continue to see the trend going in the same way with weakening labor market. 25 basis, I know he was touting, well, we've cut 75 basis points.
That's nothing.
Since September. We'll start to see that trickle into the economy. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think we're going to see a trickle in. I think we're going to continue to see weakness in the labor market, and we're going to keep seeing inflation trending down. And so if those two things, those trends continue to go in the direction that they're going, yeah, I mean, the Fed's hands will be tied at that point. They'll have to cut the rates, even if inflation is slightly above their 2% target. So, yeah, I think let's put $100 in on 25 basis point. It's $100. What can whatever. It'll just be some fun content, and put our money where our mouth is a little bit. You know what I mean? We're out here saying things to you guys every day. Want to put our money where our mouth is a little bit, and that'll be fun. So yeah, I think that's not the reason to sell off, though. That is absolutely not the reason to sell off. I think
everybody's talking about a sell-off. I still don't even think this is really a sell-off. The reason I say that is this is just a retest of these breakout levels. You still have higher lows. and you're still higher than you were before the Fed meeting occurred. Yes, it's a sell-off, I guess, from the high, the high mark that was put in. But remember, as long as you continue to produce these higher lows, I still think you're in a bull trend. So you could go as deep as, $3,000 and still be bullish off these levels. I know that isn't fun. We want to go rip and roar to the highest. But yeah, give your opinion on why you think we're seeing some red candles.
Well, you're looking at Ethereum, and Ethereum's showing strength compared to Bitcoin, and we've been on that for a few months now. I was talking more about Bitcoin. I mean, we did run to 94.
That's true,
right? On the dovish comments. I mean, you're seeing it. You were seeing it in the stock as he was talking, and as they announced the non-QE, as I'm calling it, the $40 billion that they're going to be buying of short-term treasuries every month from here on out until further notice. The rate cut, the dovish talk. Markets are running, man. Markets are running. Okay, here we go. We got what we wanted. Yay. And then, bam, like 2 hours after the meeting, Bitcoin dumps like 5%. Is that not, I mean, is that, and then 250 million of longs were liquidated. Okay, that's the second part of my point here. Is that not the hallmark of just manipulation then of these market makers and these exchanges? Good news, market runs, longs are placed, here we go, and then bam, it reverses and 250 million is liquidated. To me, it's pure manipulation dump. I don't think it's because people are so worried about, is the Fed going to follow through on QE, or will there never be a rate cut again? I think it's just pure manipulation.
Yeah, and really for Bitcoin, you need to hold above like the 87,800 level to keep putting in higher lows. So you only got another maybe $2,100 buffer here to keep this bull intact as far as dip, higher low, and now you need to put a higher low, and above that 87.8, and really above the 88.2 would be nice. So you are very close there, but again, got rejected at the moving average. Everything that we wanted to hear from the Fed happened. We got an interest rate cut. He was pretty dovish. I wish you wouldn't have talked about the no change. That's what people are hesitant on, or whatever it may be. But how's the stock market acting today? Let's take a look. Stock market also red, down 0.83%. But still, I don't know about you, but I like this chart a lot better than Bitcoin's chart. Fighting for another new all-time high here for the NASDAQ. But we'll see how this goes, because this is a drip, and now you're making a rounded top. This would be an inverse Adam and Eve, which is actually a bearish formation if it continues to round up here and get stuck up here and wants to consolidate back to this yellow line or this red line. Be interesting to see if Bitcoin can stand on its own if the stocks slow down at all, because Bitcoin has been lagging so much. So it would be really unfortunate if Bitcoin wanted to lag this entire time, and then when stocks slow up and consolidate, Bitcoin can't do its thing on its own. But we're going to keep following that. We're going to keep doing the live shows. Again, Ethereum outperforming Bitcoin, which is good to see. Ethereum, you really wanted to keep a higher low above that 2,900 to 3,000 level. Bitcoin, you really want to keep a higher low above 87.8 to keep this kind of grind higher intact. But yeah, there was a lot of happiness, euphoria, things were going on, and what do you know? Like you said, market makers or whoever it was liquidated all the longs on that upside, putting in not one but two new highs for the move, and then deciding to liquidate it out overnight.
At the end of the day, look, unless you're a trader, you shouldn't really care what happens the day of the meeting or the day after the meeting in terms of a market reaction. It's always going to be manipulation. It's going to be euphoria, maybe a little sell-off afterwards. It's going to be very volatile. But if you're looking at things from a long-term standpoint, I mean, we got everything we wanted in that meeting and more. I mean, really, I don't think anyone was expecting the Fed to come out and say, we're actually going to we just stopped QT selling our assets, right, on December 1. 12 days later, because they're starting the QE tomorrow. And I know there's some debate. Is it money printing? Is it QE? Or is it just more kind of standard Fed practice? I don't view it as money printing, because I think money printing has a defined sort of clear definition of creating money that didn't exist before, which they can do that. They can literally press a button digitally and just create, here's $1 trillion new dollars, give it to the banks, whatever, and let that flow into the economy. It's not that, but it is buying up of assets. And that is that's a kind of that's the loose definition of quantitative easing, is it not? So the Fed going to be buying 40 billion short-term treasury bills. The reason they want to give, I don't think, is extremely relevant. It's more that they're starting this, and we weren't expecting any sort of QE to happen, right? So we got more than what we wanted out of this meeting. So I think, look, 2 weeks from now, month from now, we really should be higher, both on stock market and crypto. And I know crypto's been very challenging the past few months with the 10-10 liquidity crisis and with the 4-year halving cycle is selling, and there's a lot of uncertainty right now. MicroStrategy, what's going on with the listing over there. So there's a lot going on in crypto, I will admit it. But from a macro standpoint, from a Fed standpoint, from a liquidity standpoint, all things are trending in the right direction for risk assets. So let's give it a little bit of time. Let's give it a little time to breathe. Let's not overreact. It's been 1 day since the meeting. And unless you're trading with leverage, you really shouldn't worry too much about this near-term price reaction.
Hexbull says, guys, Bitcoin chart left shoulder at 110,000 from last December, head at 125, neckline at 80K, now forming a right shoulder. Remember, this is my warning to you to get out of ETH and prepare for a bear market. That means that Hexbull is calling for a $50,000 Bitcoin and a $1,400 ETH. I will agree to disagree, but that is Hexbull's call. We actually top out right here on Bitcoin and ETH. We go to $50,000 Bitcoin and $1,400 ETH. He didn't give those prices, but I just did some rough math on the chart. So he might be higher or lower than that. But if you do the actual measured move of what a head and shoulder would mean on Bitcoin and Ethereum, 50K target, 1,400 target. Ethereum revisits its previous all-time lows there from this cycle back in April of 2025. And Bitcoin really dumps out, going to lows it hasn't seen in a very long time, to or below $50,000 right here, right now. No more good price action. That's it, Crypto Hammer. What do you think?
I think it just belies all logic that now we're starting the liquidity easing part of the cycle here. The Fed continues to cut rates. They're now starting QE. We have a new head of the Fed coming into May who's going to be more of a dove. We have the big, beautiful bill stimulus, which let's not pretend it's anything but stimulus. It's more money in the pockets of Americans. Whether you're a high earner or whether you're actually just a waitress, you are going to have more money in your pocket. You have the $2,000 stimulus checks, which granted may or may not happen. You have the market structure bill. You now have Congress coming forward and saying the SEC needs to approve this executive order around the 401ks. I just think there's enough macro positive news coming that, and not to mention all the institutions are buying. The whale, the Wall Street guys, they're all buying Bitcoin and ETH. I don't know. I just don't see how we're going to have crash to a crypto winter. We just had a 30% crash. So I mean, did we not just have the crash that you're talking about? And hasn't the market been bearish for altcoins for over a year now? Haven't we already been in a bear market? So I don't know. Look, could we be wrong? Sure. But I just think there's enough macro news, and to me, it's the liquidity cycle that's going to govern everything, and that's trending in the right direction in a big way.
Anyways, guys, Nick, you get your Xmas lights up. Yeah, all the outdoor stuff is up. Still got to get some of the indoor stuff up. And then said, yo, Nick, looked mad worried reading my last comment. LOL, guys, I'm trying to save you. Get back in stocks. No, not worried at all because I've been beating against this bush for a long time. So nothing you said is any different than everybody on the feed who is bearish saying we're starting a new bear market. I'm just giving the objectives because I measured them out there. So 50K Bitcoin is your call. 1,400 Ethereum is your call. Let's see if that happens.
We already hit
trying to save you. Get back into.
Yeah, we already sort of got there. I just don't see it happen. I just do not see it happen. By the way, we're already in stock. I mean, I've been in the stock market for 15 years. I'm not going. We got the stocks, we got the crypto. I do think crypto is going to actually outperform stocks, given a longer term time frame. I think stocks will, if you're in the right ones, they'll do your 10 to 12% annually. If you're in an index fund, which I'm basically in a bunch of index funds, you do your 10 to 12%. I think Bitcoin's continue to print 30% a year. ETH during this bull run that's coming up, we should be 2 or 3x, doing 2 or 3 times or 5 times the current price, right? So I don't know. I know it's tough right now, and everyone's like, oh, questioning crypto, and the stocks are better, and look at silver, look at gold. Crypto is going to have its time, guys. Crypto is going to have its time. It always does. Just need the right liquidity conditions. Crypto Chick agrees. Macro 2 bullish. Thank you for joining up. Thank you for commenting. We agree. Yes, we're bullish. We're bullish on this channel. I didn't make money in crypto by being bearish, I'll tell you that. So take that for what it is. You guys can have your opinions, we'll have ours, and that's why this is fun.
Yeah, and I mean, it is interesting to see a lot of people flipping, like wanting gold, wanting silver, whatever it may be, because they see green candle, but really price performance as far as percentage is pretty lackluster. You could have invested in silver in 2011, it was $48 an ounce, and right now it's in the 60s. So since 2011, you would have made, what, 25% on silver trade. And the reason I know that is because the way I even found out about Bitcoin was, of course, about mining and being a gamer. But I was a gold and silver bug first. When I was very young, my neighbor used to give me gold or silver pandas for Christmas gifts. And that got me into collecting and learning about silver and gold. And then me and my buddies used to do drafts to draft silver coins. And that's what I collected first. That's why I have a lot of jewelry, got my gold earrings and whatever. That's what got me into it. But performance-wise, it's not even close. 2011 silver is $48. 2025, almost 26, silver's 60-something dollars. That's nothing compared to...
Yeah, but Nick, it's gone up 5% a week, and I only like to buy into green candles.
Everybody's like, oh, it's doubled this year. Oh, my God. Oh, a double? That's what we're excited about. I mean, that's great for the performance right now, but it's not really the time to FOMO. I'll stay much heavier in Bitcoin and crypto and risk-on plays within the stock market. Like we've won on AMD. We've won big on NVIDIA. We've won big on GameStop. We've won big on Coinbase, MicroStrategy. I'll keep playing in that genre, and I'll keep buying jewelry, and I still have some silver coins and gold coins, but that's not what I would be focusing investable assets on unless you're already very, very wealthy.
Look, Bitcoin, crypto, ETH, etc., they're all risk assets. They take a certain environment to do well. They don't do well when there's been a tightening cycle, and we've had that for the past basically 2 years. So you get certain periods of massive outperformance on the risk assets. Otherwise, it's kind of just tough. That's why, I mean, we're always touting diversification. Like if you don't like your portfolio going down and being in the red, well, have parts of it that don't go down as much if you can. I mean, obviously not everyone has a massive amount of money to invest in every little asset, but you can be in the stock market. Yay, it's up 15% this year. Oh, I don't feel so bad. My crypto's down, my stock's up. Oh, look, my real estate, that's gone up too. By the way, don't invest in real estate. That's dog shit. That's dog shit. Come out, visit us at the Paradise Pad. Go on your free vacation. Do not buy any real estate. But anyway, crypto's going to do fine, guys. We just need the right liquidity conditions. We haven't had them yet. Macros are lining up. We are in a good spot. This is what the manipulation does to people, right? Just makes them question. Oh, should I sell? Should I move into something else? You get enough of that happening. Get enough BlackRock buying. They'll push the price up, guys. They'll make us FOMO. They'll make the normies FOMO back in at the tops, and they'll be dumping on their heads.
Nanso06 says, good morning, surfers. Shout out to Nanso. It sounds like you got a surf bag. Hexbull says, what's the big deal about the Fed starting to buy treasury bills? You want to comment on that?
Oh, yeah. So my take on it is, first of all, it's not money printing as such, but it is injecting liquidity back into the banking system and back into the economy to a small degree. I call it non-QE, QE, or QE light. The analysts on, if you watch any financial news, they're all saying QE light. So the Fed's going to spin it as, it's just sort of internal rebalancing of our assets and nothing to see here. But they are buying now $40 billion a month in short-term treasury bills, which should that money is now moving into the banking system, right? So it's a positive direction. It's not the QE we saw during COVID. It's not the $1 trillion printed out of nowhere, but it is the start of something. So QE, we can call it. The reason why I'm bullish about it is because it was unexpected. Right? No one thought this was coming. No one saw that coming. Yeah, we saw the rate cut coming, sure, but not $40 billion a month being pushed into the financial system through purchasing of these short-term bills. So I think it's a positive. I think it's showing, look, we're going in the right direction towards QE. It's not full-blown QE, I guess. It's not money printing, but it's something, and it was unexpected. So yeah, that was one reason why the market reacted really positively yesterday up until the market makers decided to crush the longs.
We definitely need Powell to go burr. We need that meme to come back. We got Crypto Chick 7573. Taurus will be buying the top as they always do. I mean, that's the biggest point too. It's how do we get retail back into the market? Because right now retail is non-existent in the crypto market, but retail is very prevalent in collectibles. I mean, there's still a retail market for Pokemon, for One Piece. So people have money, people want to make money, people want to hustle. It's just they flock to what is the greener pasture. You know, Pokemon was very hot. Pokemon slowed down a bit. Now people are switching to One Piece, and nobody's even dabbled in One Piece before. People will flock to where money is, where liquidity is. So we need that to come back to crypto. And I think it will come back to crypto because we just saw literally retail FOMO into the exact top. We called it the exact top on gold, lining up around the corners, FOMOing into a $30 trillion asset, the most expensive asset in the entire world. That is gold, and retail FOMOed into that the day of the high, outside with their coats on, drinking a $5 Starbucks, trying to buy their gold bar, celebrating when they come out of the doors, buying their $4,400 gold bar plus a premium at the high, and the very next day plummeted $300 per ounce. So retail will come back. We got to entice them. We got to have liquidity. We need something to happen here. Thomas Lee's trying to entice them, trying to buy up the ETH supply, trying to create green candles on FOMO. But once you entice them, retail comes in quickly, hard, and for a long time in crypto. That's what we've seen in the 2013 cycle, the 2017 cycle, the 2020 and 2021 cycle. We just need it to happen again, and I think it will.
Yeah, let's get through the next couple weeks with Bitcoin not breaking down another 20%, 30%, or whatever. Because if that happens, then hey, we're waving the white flag. For your cyclists, I guess you guys are right.
Yeah, this is all predicated on the higher lows that we've been talking about now for 3 weeks or 2 weeks since the exact low.
Yeah, the chart actually looks really good. Even on the dump, the chart looks pretty damn good. It hasn't broken down. We're still in an uptrend since the 80K low, absolutely, and ETH looks even better. I'm just saying, like, if we can get through the end of the year without another major crash, then I think even the bears are going to come around and say, you know what, the 4-year cycle has been invalidated. The market is going to go higher here, and you'll start to see people FOMO back in once the realization is, okay, there's no crypto winter coming. It's going higher. I'm going to deploy capital back in the markets, and it'll sort of become a self-fulfilling prophecy at that point. So we talked about this. This is a crucible moment. It's a critical moment, whatever words you want to use. And we've been talking about that since, October, really, because that's kind of when, historically, you say the 4-year cycle was going to shift into a crypto winter. So a couple more weeks here, folks. We got what we wanted from the Fed. Let's see. There's going to be labor market data. There's going to be inflation data. And I want to put that $100 on 25 basis point cut, because this is the moment you make the most money on that play, on that bet.
Yeah, you can see here back in October for Ethereum, we traded this chop. We sold Ethereum up here above $4,000 and waited all the way down to here, 2,700 to buy it again. So we're in a good position from a trading perspective. And again, we've been saying the same thing. We're riding these higher lows. If these lows give away, then yeah, you are in trouble. And you're going to be testing these lows again, and that is a critical level. So, I mean, if these give away, then yeah, we're going lower. It don't look good. But until that happens, this is constructive. We sold much higher. We bought the low. And now we're trying to ride this wave up in what we think could be an extended cycle. Same thing applies for Bitcoin. You can see sold Bitcoin all the way up here, 119,000. Started buying down here. Still have 33% to buy Bitcoin, so don't hate it being here and consolidating. Bought here around 92,000. Bought down here at 82,000. Have more to buy. But yeah, you don't want to give up these lows. Otherwise you are in trouble. So, it's been saying the same thing for weeks now. Sold higher, looked for lower, bought lower, and now want to see the grind of higher lows coming off of here.
I'm not much of a conspiracy theory guy, but there's a lot of interested parties now with big money invested in this market that they don't want to see a crypto winter. You think BlackRock, JP Morgan, Coinbase, Binance, you think they really want to see a crypto? They don't make money. They're not going to make, retail's not going to be buying the ETFs. If we crash, they're 30% and it just languishes and everyone's super duper fucking bearish for a year. BlackRock doesn't make money in that scenario, guys. Coinbase, Binance, they don't make money when everyone is crushed and, hating the asset and calling everyone a scammer and it's, going to zero, blah, blah, blah. So I just have a feeling that the powers that be, and I'm not a conspiracy theory guy necessarily, but you do see, you see these parties move in tandem. You'll see like Coinbase, BlackRock, Binance, Wintermute, all buying at the same time. They all bought like 5,000 to 6,000 Bitcoin at the same time, caused a big green candle. Oh, they all sold at the same time. Not a conspiracy theory necessarily, but don't you think they're interested in maintaining this market go up so they can continue getting retail interested in their financial products, making money off the AUM and the fees? Just saying.
Talking about price go up, Pulse Chain had that big 85% run. It has given up about 50% of that gain. It's still up 32% off the low for the move. And the reason it is down, let's look at the outflows. Today's Pulse Chain Bridge net flow, $456,000 out in total, with 421K of new money coming into the chain and 877K going out of the chain. Somebody was still at a big bag and was happy to sell that first pump, and not only sell that pump, move it out over to Ethereum and probably buy Ethereum bags or chase different assets. So the rinsing continues on Pulse Chain. Again, still holding 32% of the gains from that God candle, even on the red day today. And we'll see how things progress. Obviously, you want Ethereum to put in a higher low, go up, and then you want Richard Hart and the natural market movements to put in a higher low over on Pulse Chain and try to work out of the hole that it dug itself. That's the update on Pulse Chain today.
Look, I don't think any altcoins not named Ethereum are going to do well over the next few months. We need new money. For that to happen, we need Bitcoin, we need ETH to go on runs before any altcoin, especially small caps. Like Pulse Chain's a relatively small cap, mid cap, let's call it, and the small caps on that chain, like Surf, for example, they're not going to do well up until Bitcoin's going on another run and ETH's going on another run. Just don't see it happening. So, and that applies not just Pulse Chain. I'm seeing people shill say on my timeline. I'm seeing people shill a little bit of Solana even. I don't know. I'm seeing a bunch of shills, and I'm not saying they'll never do well. And buying in on the blood is probably actually smart if your time horizon is a year or whatever. But I don't think we're making quick money in the altcoin game up until we see a clear trend reversal on Bitcoin and the bears are gone and we're bullish again and the greed's back. I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, nothing's changed there. We've been saying that for a year now. I mean, time flies. Probably a year. Been saying there is no major alt season until Ethereum breaks 5,000 and goes to new all-time highs. And we got rejected up there. Not one, not two, not three, but 4 times. Got rejected at 42, 44, 46, 4,800. There is no alt season unless Ethereum goes to new all-time high. Ethereum has not gone to a high now in 5 years. The number 2 crypto asset in the entire market, no new all-time high. Well, Nick, we wicked up there for 30 minutes. That's not a new all-time high. You need to close on the daily, on the weekly, on Ethereum above 5,000. That is a new all-time high. That is a trend reversal. That is liquidity into altcoins. That is an alt season. Other than that, you get 3-day Binance cycle. We did an AI portfolio trade for 2 weeks. We made some money on Pulse Chain rips with PTGC and Surf and everything had their 1.5 months. You don't have true alt season. You don't have true euphoria and bullishness in the overall crypto market if the number 2 crypto in the entire world can't get to new all-time highs for 5 years. It's as simple as that. We've been saying it for a year, probably more than a year, and that never is going to change. Point blank, period.
One thing I am encouraged about, though, is we're seeing what appears to be a lot of Bitcoin whales, maybe some Pulse Chain whales, and Ethereum maxis. They're going all in on ETH right now. I'm seeing a lot of major whales, guys with like 10 billion in their account. But $300 million long on ETH. I wish I had that kind of money. But so that's a Bitcoin money moving into ETH. You obviously have Tom Lee buying up a shit ton of the supply. SBT's buying more supply. They're staking it. They're earning more. They're not selling that. You have Tom Lee going out, by the way, and doing a masterful job at shilling Ethereum, I think. Like if you guys ever doubt your ETH holdings or crypto in general, right? Blockchain. Watch a couple of Tom Lee videos. He'll restore your confidence. He'll restore your confidence real quick. So he's doing a great job. Wall Street's still here. They're still buying. The whales are buying. The Bitcoin whales are buying. So I think everyone's doing what they can to support the price of ETH, and that's maybe one reason why it's outperforming Bitcoin. But of course, yeah, Nick's right. We're not going to get an alt season on other altcoins until ETH is super bullish and we're risk on and liquidity's back, et cetera, et cetera. So happy to see the whales doing what they can, but still had some minnows selling So lots of minnows selling the dip, as always.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, if Pex Bull's right and Bitcoin's trending down towards 50K, Ethereum's trending down towards $1,400 right here, right now. Like, man, that sucks for us and everybody watching this because your portfolio goes down. Maybe some of your income is tied to crypto, so that won't be fun. But I'll tell you who it really wouldn't be fun for is, like you said, BlackRock would lose a ton of money. JP Morgan would lose a ton of money. These banks that are trying to embrace blockchain technology and stablecoins and put millions and millions and millions into R&D will lose a ton of money. Thomas Lee will lose a ton of money. Michael Saylor, I mean, my gosh, from rags to riches back to rags again. It would be interesting if all these people were wrong and who would survive a dip back down to $1,400 ETH. 50,000 on Bitcoin would be the measure move, but we know if that happened, you're going to have capitulation wicks. So, a $40,000 Bitcoin, $1,000 ETH. Who survives that? And that would go against all trends. The first time in human history, the peasants would win, and the kings would all have nothing left, and they were all wrong. That'd be crazy.
I don't see it happening. I mean, not only is a tremendous amount of money on the line, their reputations are on the line. I mean, Tom Lee's reputation would be shattered. Like, he would be exiled from Wall Street. Fundstrat would be done. Right? Michael Saylor, done. Even Jamie Dimon would have egg on his face because he's talking about how blockchain's transformative. We're going to tokenize everything. We're looking at stable coins. We're looking at this. We're looking at that. So much reputation damage, I'd say, on the line here outside of just the capital. So, yeah, guys, remember, this asset class, it doesn't actually take that much money to move it up or down. It really doesn't. Especially on a relatively low liquidity asset like Ethereum, certainly does not. So, I don't know. Again, if you put on your conspiracy theory hat for a minute, don't you think that they can manipulate the price up to invalidate the 4-year cyclists, to crush the bears, to restore confidence in this market just in the nick of time? That's what my money's on it. My money's on that happening. So we'll see. I could be wrong. I guess I just have a question for the bears out there. At what point do you guys wave your white flag and say, 4-year cycle invalidated, we're going higher, Bitcoin's going to 150, whatever. At what point do you admit defeat? Because I'll admit defeat at another 30% correction on Bitcoin. I will absolutely admit defeat. I will buy a white flag from Amazon, and I'll be waving it here on the live stream for you guys. Okay? And we'll be talking about crypto winters. What point did the bears admit defeat and say, you know what, the 4-year cycle, that's not a thing anymore. It's a liquidity cycle. Bitcoin's going higher.
Right. Most of them will probably say you need a new alt. They wouldn't even admit defeat unless Bitcoin goes to a new all-time high, which I guess is fair. So I guess you'd say 126,000 Bitcoin and a $5,000 ETH, and you have to admit that you're wrong if you're a bear. Okay.
I'll take it. I want to hear from the bears. 126K? 5K ETH? You guys admit defeat? Look. We got to be humble in these markets. You got to admit when you're wrong. You can't just be, I'm always right. No, market's wrong. Sometimes you got to admit defeat. So I want to hear from the bears. Of course. By the way, I'm with you, Martin. By the way, good morning, Martin. How you doing, bud? I will never surrender. I agree. Like, I won't sell my Bitcoin just because there's a crypto winter. I've lived through numerous crypto winters. Didn't sell my Bitcoin then. Not going to sell it now. Okay? I've got no leverage in my life. I do not need to sell Bitcoin. Others, needs to be seen. I will never surrender. We will still remain bullish on this asset class. We'll still remain bullish on blockchain technology. But, doesn't it feel like we've already been through a crypto? If you've been in altcoins, as we are mostly in altcoins, right? Our bread and butter, our livelihood is really tied to altcoins. I know we like to talk about Bitcoin. I have a lot of it, but it's really altcoins that dictates the success of this channel, my livelihood, all that stuff. Doesn't it feel we've already been in one or year or maybe even 2-year crypto winter for altcoins? Feels that way. I know we've had some outperformance occasionally, but we've already been in the bear market.
It's been a 5-year bear market for Ethereum. I mean, if you dictate you need new highs, 5 years, stock markets could have got you 10% a year. And if you compounded that, you could have been probably, I don't even know what the math is. Somebody can run it through AI. 60, 70, 80% on stocks in 5 years if you got 10% a year and compounded it. Ethereum has got you negative. Negative $1,500 per ETH if you bought the top end of Ethereum last cycle. So I don't think you can really argue that you haven't been in a bear market for everything besides Bitcoin. You had BNB go to new all-time highs. What else went to new all-time highs?
Solana.
Very few things. Solana
No,
may.
actually, I don't even think Solana did. I don't even think Solana did. Yeah, no, it didn't. It did not. Yeah.
The bull market, if you were able to weather the storm and when FTX and then Sam went to whatever and it went to $9 from 9 to 250.
Yeah.
So if you bought the low, it's been all right. But again, if you bought the low of Ethereum, it's been all right. But they haven't put in new highs. Nothing's done new highs except for BNB and Bitcoin. In 5 years, that's pretty crazy to say, especially in an asset class that everybody touts outperformance year over year versus that of the stock market on average, which you're still on pace for. But this would have been an absolute dud of a 4-year cycle if it's over. And then a lot of people are, if we went to 50,000 Bitcoin right now, $1,300 ETH, whatever that does to the rest of the altcoins, like Hexbull is showing the head and shoulders up there. Wow, a lot of wealthy companies, banks would have egg on their face, would probably shut down a lot of those departments, and that would be the worst performing 4-year halving cycle in Bitcoin history.
But I don't think that's in anyone's interest. So, okay, obviously we know the Wall Street banks, everyone, Michael Saylor, Tom, they all don't want that to happen. Do even like the whale, does even like the Bitcoin OGs? Because you could argue who else could control the market to that point, causing a massive crash like that? Do the Bitcoin OGs really want to see that either? Like Wall Street completely just crushed? I know there's probably some guys who are like, fuck ETFs, they're not decentralized, it's the antithesis of everything that Bitcoin was meant to be, blah, blah, blah. I hate them. But from a price performance standpoint, do you really hate Michael Saylor that much? I don't.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing too. If that was to happen right here and now, sure, the people who are calling the 4-year cycle over and they sold and they got cash, they win. But I don't think they understand the detriment that puts on the entire market for future gains, like you said. Because now you're going to burn all of the institutions, all of the infrastructure, all of the regulatory. You're going to burn it all to the ground in your goal of being able to buy Bitcoin back at 40 or 50,000. And do I think Bitcoin would die? No. But do I think you very much limited your upside gain for cycles moving forward? Yes. Because you burnt all of the very people who have the capital, infrastructure, power, and negotiation tactics to make Bitcoin go to $1 million. Without them, Bitcoin is not going to $1 million. It's just not happening. You're at a point with the size of Bitcoin that, yes, I guess if you got retail FOMO, you could run it without institutions. But you're not going to be able to get retail FOMO without those institutions. Different than 2013, different than the 2017 retail market where we beat institutions. They started getting futures that marked the exact top. 2021 even started being an institution-driven asset class. You can't get at these valuations massive bull cycles of 1 million Bitcoin without these big players. And if you burn them right here, right now, because you want the 4-year cycle and you sold and you get, I get to buy 40K Bitcoin. I'm right. Holy cow, I made a 2X. You're going to be shooting yourself in the foot for your price performance moving forward and for an industry as a whole. That's how I see it. If you burn these guys, there's nobody else that's going to pick up them scraps. And maybe some of them survive and they make another push for it. But who's going to believe it next time around after all of these major brands, major companies, major DD, major institutional financial firms all got burnt to the ground by it? They're not going to push it on the clients. They're not going to support it. The clients aren't going to buy it. So I would not be rooting for new lows here on Bitcoin. I would not be rooting for it if you believe in the asset class and you want more 4-year cycles if you're right about the 4-year cycle happening right here, right now.
The good news is that those loud voices on X that are calling for, the top at 126, here comes the crypto winter, 4-year cycle still intact, blah, blah, blah. They don't have the capital to truly move the markets in a meaningful way. You think they got more money than JP Morgan and BlackRock and Binance and Coinbase and Michael Saylor and Tom Lee and everyone? They don't have the capital to cause a crypto winter. The OGs were already selling billions and billions and billions worth above 100K.
Yeah, 116, 118, etc.
They're rotated out, a lot of them. So it's not going to be the guy on X with his one Bitcoin or half a Bitcoin or 0.1 Bitcoin that's going to do anything to move these markets or change these markets. So they can't cause the crypto winter. It's not in the interest of anyone to cause the crypto winter. So yeah, I mean, I just don't see it happening. Absent a black swan, like if we get some kind of war, if we go to war with Venezuela tomorrow, I don't even think that causes a crypto winter. Honestly, I think that causes a temporary crash, and then we're right back moving higher because that's always happens with wars. By the way, wars end up being bullish for the markets. Strangely enough. But in any event, there could be some crazy black swan. But absent that, I don't see another 30% crash here. I think slow grind up. The chart still looks good, guys. We got what we wanted from the Fed. We got the non-QE QE. The QE light.
QE
And the rate cuts are still coming, guys.
Sugar-free QE.
They're literally calling it QE light on CNBC and Bloomberg. And the great thing about these markets and how driven they are by retail, because the Fed may come out, Powell may come out and give some technical explanation for how it's technically not QE and it's just kind of standard practices or whatever. But if the narrative across all the media is this is QE light, then it's QE light, right? It's a narrative-driven market, it's a retail-driven market, and the Fed is embarking now on QE light, guys. You didn't hear it from me. You heard it from someone else. So we're going to be fine. We're absolutely going to be fine. I hope no one's panicking.
I think more of the story there is Hexbull, I hope you are wrong. But if you are right, I hope you're doing like a 3x, 5x, 10x short here if you're that convicted in it. Because then when I'm living in the cardboard box, maybe you can come by and instead of giving me some quarters, you can toss me some hundreds.
There you go. Yeah, put your money where it's at. Our money... I don't have any longs because I don't do leverage trading. But, I mean, I'm just holding. I'm not out of the markets. Maybe stupidly, in retrospect, should have sold at 126K Bitcoin or whatever. But our money is the markets are going higher. You got to put your money where your mouth is. We want to hear about your shorts. What size of the shorts? Actually, don't do any shorts. We're just totally kidding, dude. I don't want to see you get liquidated when Binance starts to cause another pump here. So what other topics we got going on? I feel like we're just hounding on Hexbull the whole time, which is not nice.
We're not hounding on him. We're just kind of giving the price of his prediction and then giving the rebuttal to it. So, like I said, if he's right, I hope he's short and making a lot of money on it because then he can help us out. The people who helped him out and supported Hex and Pulse Chain during the next 2-year bear market.
Meet Chapo, fully convicted. I won't go down even if I have to wait years to get gains. Yeah, I mean, when I got into crypto, I got in 2017 in the beginning, and the gains were good. Those were the easy days, guys, because there were 3 assets available on Coinbase. You had Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin. So I bought into all 3, I don't know, a couple thousand on each, and watched each one skyrocket and go bananas for like 6 months or whatever. But then, after you go down the rabbit hole, you've done so well on your Bitcoin or whatever, then you start to look at altcoins and you find out about your friends are doing stuff on Binance and they're making money over there and they're, okay, here comes KuCoin out of left field. Let's start dabbling in altcoins. And man, I gave a lot of my gains back buying the top of whatever alt season that was, beginning of 2018, not knowing what I was doing, just buying into whatever random coin I liked on Binance at the time, and just got wrecked. And all of 2018 was a disaster. Was a massive crypto winter. ETH dropped to $90. Bitcoin down to 3,000. So, I mean, talk about wreck, talk about waiting forever to make money again. But I held on. I persisted. I stayed in the industry. I was working in the industry at the time, so I stayed with it. And 2019 was a struggle, actually, too, for the most part. And just at the very end, things started to turn around. And then 2020 was glorious, and we made a bunch of money in 2020 and 2021. So, yeah, look, 2 years, basically, I made no money in crypto. It took me 2 years to make any money. I'm not saying that has to be your guys' fate. Hopefully, if you're following Crypto Paradise, if you're in the DAO group, if you're following Nick and you're in his group, it doesn't take you 2 years to make anything. But it took me 2 years. It took me 2 years, guys. So patience and conviction. That's why I keep saying those 2 words over and over. It's the only reason why I made anything in crypto.
I'm scrolling the Twitter feed. Nothing too much new here. So that's all I know. I know that these ETH DATs, they keep posting about their staking rewards. They haven't done any buying here as of late. I think Thomas Lee bought a couple times during that dip. Sharplink Gaming has not been a buyer because they've not been raising funds or keeping that cash, but they have been compounding. Like I said, they made $1.33 million worth of ETH in staking rewards last week alone. I think they're going to continue that trend because the inflation is the same on ETH and the rewards will be the same week after week, and they're compounding. So that's good to see. That's sucking up some of that supply. Stock market a little red today. Like we said earlier in the show, Ethereum and Bitcoin really need to hold their higher lows. Ethereum rallied about $50 off the low it just had when we started the show. So there isn't a paradise pump today, but there is a paradise save, saving Ethereum $50 off the low so far since we've been live. And that's about it. There is no
paradise save. That's a new catchphrase? We can.
I got to smash the buy button every time Hexbull says we're going to 1500, just so I can say, "See, look, $10 rally." You know,
$10 rally. Let's go. Let's go. Hey, I'll cheer for anything at this point. Some Tom Lee news though to cover. Tom Lee and their Fundstrat, just brought on some legendary trader. I guess a guy who's known for timing the markets incredibly well. Caught two downtrends perfectly. I forget the name.
DeMark. Tom DeMark.
Yeah, DeMark, exactly. That's the guy. So some legendary dude. And in November, DeMark, I guess, has said, hold off on buying. Stop buying for whatever reason. I guess he saw some signals. Who knows? But then he said, no, start buying again. and Tom Lee, they've gone on a tremendous buying spree, going up from 3 to nearly 4% of the total supply in a month. So, again, do you want to be aligned with the random dudes and their PFPs on X, or do you want to be aligned with big Wall Street money and Wall Street legends like Tom DeMark? Just saying.
Yeah, Bitmine is up to 3.86 million ETH. That's 3.86% of the total supply. They have a goal of 5%, which means they're going to buy another 1.2 million ETH. Sharplink Gaming approaching 1 million ETH, up to 863,000. They have a goal of 5 million as well. Obviously, they're moving a lot slower, but achieving that 1 million would be pretty nice. That'd be another 140,000 ETH. They need to either accumulate via staking and or buy. Ether Machine had a massive goal. I think their goal was bigger than anybody's. They're only at 500k ETH, but they continue to add a little bit every 30 days. Good to see. The Ethereum Foundation, without people talking about it in the past 30 days, has sold off another 40,000 Ethereum to fund God knows what. But Bit Digital and some of these other smaller ones, it looks like over the past 30 days, have added small amounts of Ethereum, whether it's via buying and or staking and compounding over the past 30 days as well.
Yeah, I think if you're in ETH, you got to look at it two ways. One, obviously, you want it to run, to 5,000, stay above there, sustain for alt season to happen. But if you're just in that asset because you're looking for it to appreciate over time, be sort of a cornerstone of your portfolio, blue chip, as it were, well, you need a few things to happen. I think you need this market structure bill to pass, for one. That's going to provide some additional clarity around the asset and allow institutions to buy in, et cetera, and build rails and so on. So you need that. This 401k order is a big deal. But you start to need to see the tokenization of assets that Tom Lee and JP Morgan and others are talking about. And it is happening, but it's really not happening to a massive degree yet. You need to see more tokenization of stocks, gold, real estate. That's the, let's just call it, that's like the trillion-dollar, multi-trillion-dollar moment for ETH, is when that fully comes to fruition, or when we start to see that meaningfully accelerate. Because right now it's kind of like Tom Lee is loading up on the speculation and then the expectation that starts to happen, and that does happen, the tokenization of everything. Let's start to see that happen in real time, in real life. I know it's happened to some degree, but let's see it happen more, and you're going to start to see ETH, I think, grind higher towards its fair market value at that point. Because right now people don't really know how to value it. I know there's some bears out there that it's overvalued relative to its earnings. If you look at it's like a PE ratio sort of analysis. It only makes $1 billion a year in revenue. Why is it 350x earnings? that's not how you look at it. It's like the early days of Facebook. If you buy into Tom Lee's narrative anyway. So let's start to see the tokenization. Let's start to see some of the legislation get rolled out that's going to allow for that to happen. But if it's if you're long ETH, that's what you want to see. But you're going to have to be patient.
Yeah, we'll see how things progress. We will see how things progress. I mean, nothing's changed for us. Need higher lows, keep grinding higher, leave the bears sitting in cash and having to FOMO higher. No real fun in crypto until Ethereum back above 5,000. Now, that doesn't mean if Ethereum goes from 3,200 to 4,800 that there's not going to be green candles, because things will grind up. But we're talking about the easy money, the new alpha, the ICOs, the pre-sales, Pulse Chain 5xing, Surf going over millions of market cap. That all comes when Ethereum gets above $5,000. So that's what you guys should be rooting for if you want quick financial freedom to come back into play versus just a slow grind of monotony and every red bar people telling you, I told you so, bear market intact.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to alt season. I temper my expectations as to when that's going to happen, when the euphoria will be back, because, man, it feels so distant, doesn't it? It feels like we could wait what would feel like an eternity before the euphoria comes back. But, hey, we know how things can change and shift very quickly in this asset class. You start to see 3 or 4 big green candles materialize on Bitcoin and ETH at the end of the year, beginning of next year, who knows when. All of a sudden, you get the greed tipping back, the fear greed index tipping back towards greed, and alts will start to see some signs of life at that point. But we need some big green candles on Bitcoin, some big green candles on ETH, and not all is lost, guys. Not all is lost.
We were already talking about Ethereum in the DAT since the buys on SharpLink Gaming. Even the secondary buy for SharpLink is up 16.57%. That's when I converted almost all my stocks into SBT and Bitminer. And meanwhile, the Nasdaq is down about 2% off its high. Bitminer is up 23.27% off those lows as well. Even with Ethereum here at $3,200. So what happens is prices, if we're right, and if Ethereum can trend towards 5,000 and beyond, these will drastically outperform. If Hexbull is right and Ethereum goes to $1,300 or $1,500, then yeah, you could probably expect Bitminer to go back towards $10 or $11. SharpLink Gaming probably goes back towards $6 if Ethereum's price did get cut in half and we are in a bear market.
Don't see it happening. We just had the big crash. We've just been through a crypto winter. Didn't we establish that, guys? I think we've established, from an altcoin standpoint, and not Bitcoin, altcoin standpoint, we've been basically in a 2-year bear market, or maybe even longer. We just had a 35, or what was that? What was the correction? 38%. It was a pretty big drawdown from 126 to 80. We just had that. Now you're telling me it's going to happen again? Now you're telling me we got to live through another 2 years of crypto winter? No, I can't accept it. I can't accept it in my mind, especially not when the Feds turned dovish and started QE light.
I don't know if there's any other news. I'm scrolling the feed here. That's what I'm looking at over here. Nothing much going on the news. Nothing much going on the charts. We're just kind of watching those higher lows for Bitcoin and ETH. We're watching the stock market, and we're seeing what's going on. We see the outflows happening on Pulse Chain after its big rally, still up 32%. So you like that to catch itself based on fib levels very soon to try to rise and rally as well. Obviously, that gets a lot easier if Bitcoin and Ethereum are green. So we're just following along here, and I'm sure we'll have another live show for you tomorrow, maybe with more updates. And people are like, well, Nick, where's the alpha? Where's the microcaps? This, that, or the other. It's really hard to try to even play that game when there's very little liquidity for that sector in the market. Now, will you see people on Twitter like, I'm up 2x, oh my God, you should have listened? Sure. But a lot of those are very small market caps right now, and it's happening, as soon as they post or something, you got 1 minute to get in, and then them bragging today will be the local top for another dreary couple of weeks. So we'll see what happens, but right now we're just not giving alpha calls because the opportunity and liquidity just isn't there for the market.
Well, a couple things to update you guys on from a surf standpoint, a crypto paradise standpoint. For one, we just announced yesterday a fun little $100 giveaway. Nothing crazy. Look, our giveaways are bear market giveaways. We'll eventually get to that $1,000 giveaway, guys. We're doing a $100 giveaway on who can guess the name of the project that I was talking about in my recent video when I was down in Tulum. So go ahead and get on our X, get on the YouTube, watch the video, see if you can guess the project we're talking about. We got some good guesses coming in for sure, and we'll keep that contest open for another maybe 24 hours, and then we'll determine a winner. So thank you for participating, everyone, in that, and get on the X to do that. Second thing, I know there's been an absence or lull. It's been tough for altcoins, but we actually had a really strong project come to us and offer us an investment opportunity into their pre-sale round at a $20 million valuation. They're going out at $100 million, so there's a 5x right there if it sustains. I know there's relatively long vesting, 3-month vesting, I think, or 3-month cliff, 6-month vesting. So, decently sized vesting. But it's a project called Space, and it looks great. Basically, what they are building is a leverage trading platform for prediction markets. So just more gambling on top of the gambling. But from a hype and narrative standpoint, is that not the perfect category? It's like everybody loves, hyper liquid and lighter and all the stuff going on the perpetual side, and everyone loves the prediction markets with poly marketing, Kalshi, etc. So this is a combination of the two things. Wow, what an incredible narrative! What incredible timing! If only there was some liquidity in the markets, because it could do well, but it is a risk, and we did lay out our analysis for you guys in the Dow about the risks. So, anyways, we're not doing nothing. If you want to get risk on, you want to jump into some altcoins, we're finding you some good pre-sale opportunities to buy in before everybody else.
Promise liquidity, availability. But whenever you think you're having a bad day, Crypto Amaru, and everybody watching that is of the male descent, Anti-Ice Rider says Ice shot him in the nuts and now he is going to lose a ball. So, it could be worse. You could have got shot in the nuts and you're getting one of your balls cut off permanently, So it can always be worse. Enjoy what you have. Enjoy the fact that you're even in the markets. And at least you still got 2 balls for most of the people watching.
Good Lord. So someone shot an ICE agent?
No, this was an Ice Rider got shot in the nuts with a non-lethal round probably.
What's an ICE Rider? What is that?
Like people who are rioting and protesting ICE. Like people who don't want them to...
Oh, rioter. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, he's an idiot.
Yeah, an idiot. I'm just saying, could be worse, guys. We're still here. We still got 2 nuts, and you're not sitting in a hospital bed getting told your left nut, your best friend since a young age, is getting removed forever.
It absolutely could be worse, guys. I saw a great video, short form video on X the other day. It was like the hierarchy of complaining. It's like the guy with the Ferrari wants the Lambo. The guy with the Mercedes wants the Ferrari. The guy, with the house wants this. The guy, who doesn't have a house just wants a house. The homeless guy just wants to be on the bus. The dead guy just wishes he was a homeless guy. So anyway, life can always get worse. Be thankful for what you have. We're going to get through this crypto winter. You guys are pre-rich. You're pre-rich as long as you can hold and stay with it. I know it has not been easy. 2 years, basically, of downtrend and doom and gloom and despair on altcoins. Could it continue? Sure. My money is we're finally going to break out of this 2-year downtrend on alts. And we'll all be actually rich here in the not too distant future. Probably, I think things are going to feel very different middle and end of 2026. I don't think we get any kind of parabola, crazy. We got some comments coming in. Let me just finish my point here. I don't think we get any sort of crazy, massive parabolic move. A slow grind up, sure, but nothing parabolic up until middle of 26. We need the stimulus from the big, beautiful bill to flow into the economy. We really need the $2,000 checks from tariff funds to be sent to qualifying Americans. We need the market structure bill to get passed. We need the 4-year cycle to be validated. We need the Fed to continue to be dovish. We need Kevin Hassan to be nominated and approved as the next head of the Fed. So we need a lot of things to happen. But just remember, the Trump and the Republicans really need a great economy heading into the midterms for them to have any shot of not getting wiped out and then there being a divided government, and then Trump's last 2 years would be a lame duck. He wouldn't get anything done. That's worst case scenario, guys. So they need to engineer a recovery. They need to engineer lower rates, quantitative easing, and that's going to help your at-risk assets. So don't bet against what the powers that be need to happen. My prediction is mid to end of next year, things are going to feel very, very different. I know it sucks right now, but this is how it is, guys. Crypto's not easy.
All right, you want to run through these comments and wrap this up? I know we got more calls and stuff to do. We're already over an hour here for this live show.
Yes, we do have a call with a client in a few 20 minutes. Yeah, what's up with the $1,000 activity? Yeah, we contacted the winners already. So, yeah, I don't recognize you if you're new to the channel. Appreciate you jumping in. We're going to have more giveaways. I don't know if we're going to do that exact same contest next month. We're looking at restructuring it a bit. But we just did the $100 giveaway. So we're doing giveaways and we're doing, little engagement things when we can and when it makes sense and when we have the capital. Crypto Paradise is feeling the bear market just as much as anyone. So, unless I DM'd you on Telegram and told you you're a winner, you're not a winner. But I see Baguitos here. He's a winner. Martin, you're a winner. Nanso, you're a winner. Meek Chapo's a winner. Pretty much everyone who tuned into the live stream and has been commenting this whole time, we're winners. So, you can be a winner. You just can't jump in on the last day and complain, why am I not a winner? That ain't how this works, folks. So anyway, get engaged. Pay attention. There's more contests, more games. But you know what? You know why else you should watch Crypto Paradise? Not just for the free money, guys. You can get free money. You can get airdrops anywhere in crypto. You should do it for the education. You should do it for the fun. Do it for the alpha. Do it for the free vacations. Get yourself a free vacation, bud. We're giving away free nights to the Paradise Pad down in Tulum. No one else is doing that. $100 is given away on crypto every single day, every single minute. You can find it anywhere. Free vacations. It's pretty damn unique. Pretty damn unique. So, shout out to the winners. Baguito, Martin. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. And we'll have more contests and more fun stuff coming up. So, appreciate everyone tuning in, jumping in. And until next time, guys, we will see you on the beach.